Good afternoon, everyone. I'm not quite sure if you're sitting here to finish your lunch or are you truly interested in this? Okay, so some of you are interested. I'm also hoping that you were not here yesterday. You were not? Oh, you were? Some of you were? Oh, then I have to change the script a little bit. Because it was pretty much going to be the same of what I did yesterday. For the benefit of those who are here today first, I want to tell you a little bit about the journey of how did I get into social media. Okay, I don't want to start by sermonizing on what is social media and what is the benefit and how does it help and so on and so forth. Can you all hear me properly? Okay, because I can't hear myself over the sound of the dishes. So I'm not a pure, true-blooded HR person. Okay, I started my career with Xerox as a salesperson. I did that for 10 years, and then I moved to GE, who said, come and do HR with us. And I told them I have neither studied HR nor have I done HR. So why do you want to hire me into HR? And they pretty much laughed at me at that time and said, you know what, you think you can go to an academic institute for 2 or 3 years and become a HR pro, and that is not the way it works. So you come work with us and you will learn along the way. So that was my journey, or the beginning of my moving into HR. Fast forward, I worked for GE many years, and then I moved to Reliance Industries. And I finished my career with IDFC Bank, corporate career with IDFC Bank last year. When I was in Reliance Industries, it was a great role and a great job, but I also realized that I used to fall short on some things compared to the other HR professionals. I used to feel this lack within myself. And I thought I had hit a glass ceiling in some ways in terms of my own career. And on much introspection and conversation with some people, I realized the reason was as follows. One, I didn't know the basics of pure HR, stuff like labor, stuff like compensation and performance and rewards. And I couldn't have learned at that time because those are the things you start to learn early on in your career. That was one of the reasons. The other is I couldn't have conversations about them in the meetings. And that used to make me feel little not too good about it. And I thought to myself, what is it that I can do at this time? I had a choice to make. 3 choices, like I said yesterday, I had 3 choices to make. Choice number 1, do nothing. I had a job, I was getting paid, so life could have carried on. Choice number 2, I could have said, I am a woman. The company will one day promote me anyway. Gender diversity is a big thing. The third was I could do something else. And I chose to do something else, which is pivot. When I say pivot, this is how you pivot on your career. So many times in a career, you can call it transition or pivot, and I pivoted. What helped me pivot on my career were, again, 3 things. One, the leader I had, my manager at that time, was extremely supportive. He's sitting here, by the way, right now, Vivek Paranjpai. He hired me and he was like a big support. He continues to be. So thank you so much for that, Vivek. So if you have a great manager who's supportive of your pivoting or your capability building into the newer areas and will take a leap of faith with you or bet on you, that's one great opportunity. The second was the company was ready to accept that, a new change. And the third was I had found the blue ocean for myself. What do I mean when I say blue ocean? We know this concept called blue ocean and red ocean. Red ocean, there are sharks and crocodiles and everyone is trying to grab that little visibility, little space. And the blue ocean is the untapped areas of work, which is calm and cooling and has a lot of potential. So the world of social, the world of employee experiences, social media, employer branding, personal branding, advocacy, was the blue ocean. The timing was right, the company was ready for it, I had a supportive manager, and we found the blue ocean. So this trio combination helped me pivot into this space, and I said to myself saying, okay, this is something that no TIS is teaching anyone. XLRI doesn't have a syllabus or a class on this. And I'm going to learn it now, and I'll go to be very good at it in next 4 or 5 years. And very good is not just very good, I'll be amongst the best in the country. On these subjects, because I have an equal playing field. This is really called equal playing field. So lesson number 1 for me, and I want to share that with you, is many times this will happen. We all hit glass ceilings. So hitting the glass ceiling doesn't mean you stay there. Hitting the glass ceiling means you step back and you sidestep. It's also incidental that I'm a crab. My sun sign is a crab, July. I'm born in July and the sun sign is crab. The crab behavior is to move forward. The crab will take sometimes step back or sideways and then really lunge forward. That's a little bit of my innate nature. So lesson number 1, it's good to pivot. Continuously pivot and look for opportunities. Lesson number 2 here is look for the blue ocean. Don't keep trying to find find your way in the red ocean. And third, if you have a manager who's supportive, then you've got this holy triology. Then the stars have aligned and the world pretty much is yours. The tools of social media are not so important. That's just technology. I mean, nobody taught you how to do Facebook, right? You just logged on and you figure it out. So it is with Twitter, and so it is with Instagram, and so it is with any other platform. Before I get started about the platforms, I want to show you the slide that I created to tell you about the different ages and why is this entire social becoming so important now. So you get the little bit of a background and a history as well. Agricultural age, very, very, very long ago. Okay? You can take a picture if you like, you don't need to write. Agriculture age was when wealth was land. People were fighting with each other all the time to gather more land or win more land. The success was the conquest or the wars that people went to. Then we came to an industrial age, where the wealth was the capital. How many factories have I got? How many industries do I own? How many inventions and discoveries can I do? Right? The success was defined in the inventions or the discoveries. Then there was this knowledge age, which we are still into, by the way. The wealth is knowledge. What is your domain expertise? What is your functional background? How much do you know? How much of information is lying in your drawers? How many years have you worked in the company? Okay. All of that. The last age, which is what we have just stepped into, and that's the age I want to be more and more, is what I call the social age, today's age. Wealth is really a reputation. Your wealth is not coming to you from that 2 rupee visiting card that you have in your pocket, because that's not your card really. That is somebody's company, somebody else's purpose, somebody else's business. You just are piggybacking on it for a period of time. Many times when I ask people, introduce yourself, the first thing they begin to say is, I am a vice president of this company. Or I have worked in the corporate sector for 10 years. Or I have studied, in this college and I am doing this job. And that's fine. Then I tell them, okay, take your visiting card, put it on the table, now introduce yourself. And people struggle. They have nothing to say. So that's something for all of us to think about. If you did not have the company's brand behind you or that designation, who are you? Who are you? That is what I call reputation in the larger world. And the entire social world, the tools of social media can help you get that very, very easily. It also opens many other doors for you. The doors to do social work, the doors to do impactful work, the door to start up your own gig or entrepreneurship. All of those become possible if you kind of begin to master this entire world. I also call them, we have moved from an era of might, which is the gladiatorism, to era of mind, to era of mode, which is just using digital, to era of consciousness. When I say consciousness, what I really mean is everyone today is talking of authenticity. You've heard that word? Be authentic, be truthful, be vulnerable, because those are the foundational principles of anyone who wants to use social media. You can use social media for anything, but if you have that as the foundational principle of your using social media, you're more believable. People just trust you far more. So start to use the tools only when you think you have arrived here or you're wanting to arrive to this stage. Else it won't really give you the rich dividends. I wanted to talk about quickly three things with you. Take a look at this slide. The first is, before you start to use the social media, you have to figure out what do you want to do on the social media. Or how are you going to talk about yourself on the social media. Another mistake that we often make, and I have made it many times, I made it for 2 years and then I kind of got it, saying first of all, I need to figure out who am I? Or who do I want to be seen on the social media and how do I do that? I use this tool for myself, which is also used for personal branding. It's also called a personal branding tool. And think of this tool as 3 concentric circles. There is a circle in the center. In the center, put the words, saying who are you as a person? You're a high energy person, you're a committed person, you're an innovative person. Outer circle, you ask people how they think of yourself. People will give you some other words. They may say you're ambitious. They may say you procrastinate. They may say you're friendly. And then the outermost circle, you put the words of How do you want to be seen as? You want to be seen as business-oriented person. You want to be seen as somebody who has a digital bent of mind. You want to be seen as an expert on culture. Inner circle, who you are already. Outer circle, ask people what they think about you. And the outermost circle is how do you want to be seen. When you see these three circles, you will also see the roadmap or your own opportunities and challenges. The best way to ask people how to do that middle circle is simple. Just send them a WhatsApp message on a weekend. This is what I did. Saying I'm doing an exercise for myself. What are the 3 words that come to your mind when you think about me? As simple as that. Do it on a weekend. Do it one-on-one. Don't send it in a group. Then it becomes a joke sometimes. Okay? And send it to 100 people or maybe more. We all have more than 100 people on our WhatsApp, isn't it? And you will get lots of responses back. Even if 50 people respond, 50 into 3, you get 150 words of how people think about you. No manager can ever give you that feedback, what you will get within hours. Right? So you can do this exercise like that. At the end of this exercise, you are starting to know who you are and who you want to be. Called a personal brand identity exercise. Don't start doing things in the social space without cracking that piece. Number 1, these are 2 important criterias. This is the most important one really to my mind. Amongst all of this, you must figure out what are you truly good at, and even what are you truly good at it, what is it that only you do that nobody else can do? Or what is it that you do that you can do consistently, with passion, with energy, with focus, over a long period of time? Many people can do lots of things, but they lose energy, they stop getting interested, they're not passionate enough. So find one, at least one thing, that is your defining character, which sets you apart in the clutter of the social world. Okay? Must get to this. There are many concepts and principles around social leadership. And you notice I'm not jumping into social media straight away. I want to talk about social, I want to talk about social leadership. And then come to the tools of social. These are some of the important concepts for you to know. To my mind, social capital and social reputation are the ones which are most important. Social capital is, we know what capital is, the money in the bank is called capital. Social capital is how much of a good professional, personal reputation have you got. That is your social capital as well. And I learned this, and I mentioned this yesterday when I was talking to some people. I learned this from the serial called Netflix, and there's this Suits. Have you all seen Suits, or some of you seen Suits? There is this protagonist called Harvey Specter. He's a hotshot lawyer in New York City. He's supposed to be very, very, very good. And why is he supposed to be good? Of course he does. He's a great lawyer. He's the best closer in New York City, like they say in the serial. But he's good because he has huge social capital. When he walks into people's offices, any people, they will do things for him. He will just walk anywhere and into any room and say, I need you to do this. And I saw at least 2 seasons before I started to figure out why is that happening. 2 seasons means about 30 episodes. There are total about 75, 76 episodes. Another 10, so about 85 episodes. And then I figured out what Harvey Specter, this show, has done in that movie is built huge social capital. How do you build huge social capital? By doing things for people. By doing things for people even before they ask you for it. Also in a corporate parlance, what we call building emotional bank balances. Okay, we all have a bank balance. We know debit and credit. When you go to a bank, when can you withdraw the money? Only when you have put money there. And then some interest accumulates and there is phenomena of compounding which kicks in. So you have lots of money. The same thing is applicable for the social world. Start to build emotional bank balances with people. Look for ways to help people. If you make all those investments much before you need them, you can make the withdrawals when you need them. Okay? Doing that consistently, persistently, passionately, selflessly over a long period of time will give you social capital. Okay? So that's one concept I wanted to talk about. The social community, another concept quickly I want to talk about. Social community is all of us. Okay? SHRM for me is part of the social community. Why do I come and spend 2 days here? I barely have time these days. I'm a struggling entrepreneur now. I don't have the luxury to do it, but I will always step up. I will always step in. I will always stretch to be here whenever they call me because this is my community. You have to show up for your community. You cannot be busy for your community. Many times people who are friends or good associates or good supervisors will say, oh, we are friends and call me when you need me. But when you call them, they will support or they will help you, but this is how they start. I am traveling. I will tell you next week. Or I am busy. Why don't you meet me next time you are here? Oh, or they will not just take your call and say, I will come back to you. Well, to my mind, that's not your community. Because if somebody is asking for help, if it is your community, you will immediately do it. That means you will leave your work aside. You will book a ticket to reach wherever they need to be. And you will stretch extraordinary measures. You will almost sacrifice. So if you do that for people and they are doing that for you, then they are your community and you are their community. Okay? So that's the way to think about it. Social learning is another point I wanted to talk about. When I used to ask people, what has been your best learning experience? Or if I ask you, I can bet you that none of you are going to say the classroom, my physics classroom when I went to college. You will not say my English teacher and I learned poetry from her. No, you will say my best learning experiences, I had this problem, I went on YouTube. You will say my best learning experiences, I was sitting with a bunch of friends and we were talking about it and this emerged. So really, this is what I call below the line learning. Above the line is formal learning, e-learning, classroom learning, training programs, so on and so forth. Below the line is social learning. Learning through WhatsApp, learning through your community, learning through YouTube, learning through interactions like this, learning through Twitter, learning through all the notifications which come to you. So remember that concept when you are either learning or trying to help people learn, leverage the social learning piece really significantly. Okay? So that's another piece that I wanted to talk about, and then there are some more. I want to talk about this 1 or 2 minutes as well. Social media only kicks or comes into play when you have your network, which exists. And how do you get the networks? How do you build the networks? So there are 3 or 4 ways for you to build your network. The words are there. You build network with people who have the similar domain background as you. If you're in finance, find people who are doing finance. That becomes your network. If you're a runner, if you're doing marathon running, find the running group in your society or your city, or go to meetup.com, find a group. That's your network. Okay? If you're living in a society or a condo, that is your network. It's easy to hobnob with them. You don't need to prepare what to say to them. They immediately accept or embrace you as well. So don't think of it as extra work. Think of it as an opportunity to network. And also please remember, people who are marathoners or people who are living in your condos, they're all business people mostly, isn't it? Either they're entrepreneurs or business people or traders. So eventually they will give you inputs. They will help you when you're out there tweeting or doing whatever else that you're doing. The thing to remember is, in social media world, why are you there? I have these 3 things going for me. Either you're there to build legitimacy. When I say legitimacy, it means I want to tell people that I work in the area of culture and diversity and coaching. So I will keep tweeting about that, sharing articles, giving my inputs, opinion. So you figure out what's your legitimacy reason. The second reason is affiliation. Who do you want to be seen with? I'm now tweeting about SHRM because I want to be seen as saying this is my affiliation. So that's second. The third is legacy. Over a period of time, I do want to build a legacy using the social media tool to say, she did great work in the area of inclusion. She kind of widened the marketplace for coaching. She did fabulous deep work in the areas of culture. Over a period of time, and when I say over a period of time, it is 3 to 5 to 7 to 10 years. At least I will stay the course to build that legacy. So legacy, legitimacy, affiliation. So remember these 3 words. The last tip that I have for you is in terms of content. Many times people struggle saying, what content should I put there? I don't have any great ideas. So this is the thumb rule I follow. A thumb rule I call 30, 30, 30, 10. 30% of whatever you put on the social media should be around your areas of expertise. If you work in HR, talk about HR things. Or retweet other people. Or share other people with your own perspectives. 30% should be about your company. What's happening in your organization, what is the good stuff happening, what does the company believe in, all good stuff obviously, and follow the social media policy of your company. 30% time that you spend on social media is supporting your people, your community. You see what other people that you like on social media, what are they doing, and support them. Put a comment, share, have some perspective. And the balance time, 10%, you talk about yourself, show your own personality. And what I like to tell everyone is, and I'm going to say that to you as I end, I love absolutely Urdu poetry. I'm a connoisseur of Urdu poetry. So I do a lot of tweeting, once or twice or thrice a week, or I'll put an article on LinkedIn and quote Shakespeare or Rumi. That's because that's who I am, and that makes me more human. So you must figure out what is the best model that works for you. This has worked for me, and I hope it works for you. And I want to end by this Urdu couplet. Okay, remember, I love Urdu poetry. Very simple line, which says, सितारों के आगे जहान और भी है, सितारों के आगे जहान और भी है, अभी इश्क में इम्तिहान और भी हैं. Thank you so much.